All right, so this week in Pax Day, we got the dueling update that just got pushed over to Arcadia. You saw in the intro the main thing here, the top exciting feature is the inclusion of dueling. However, there were a lot of other quality of life improvements as well as visual updates. We're going to talk about all of that and a little bit more, and there is a lot to talk about. So hello and welcome back, all of you amazingly professional consumers of Pax Day and Pax Day related content out there. I'm Altari, the professional gamer, and this is another episode of the Pax Friday Review, the show where we talk about all the fun, interesting, new, and exciting information that has dropped for Pax Day over the last week. Like I said, this week we got the patch notes. We have also a feature list of everything that's coming out with this update in Arcadia. There are bugs. It is important to go and test this out, which you can right now. All you have to do is go into your properties for Pax Day, go to the games and updates, and make sure you have Arcadia selected. You will be able to swap over. It's a small update. You get to go and test it. They will let you just give all of the feedback so that you can be assured that by the time this goes to the actual live update, it's everything we want it to be and more. But in this update, the big thing, the big elephant in the room is dueling. And we have some footage. You might see some footage popping up here and there throughout this video as we're going through the patch notes, but it's great. You can duel people and you can fight and practice and have tournaments, 1v1 tournaments, unfortunately for the time being, but it's awesome. There's some really cool visual improvements in this particular video. The thumbnail that you saw is probably going to be something with a shield on my character's back. This is Testari, who is our test character over on the Arcadia test environment. So I'm excited to get into these patch notes. I hope you are too. Before we get there though, it is my goal to get to 10,000 subscribers by the end of this year, and only you can help. So please don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe so you get notified whenever we come out with new Pax Day or Pax Day related content, and share this video with any of your friends who are interested in learning more. And also, I want to give a special shout out to all of our channel members. Thank you for financially supporting the channel. We can't do this type of thing without you. You're greatly appreciated. Let's go ahead and go on over to playpaxday.com to take a look at these release notes and patch notes. It is a patch day, y'all. I'll see you over there. All right, so here we are on playpaxday.com, and we've got the new PTS Arcadia only release notes. This, again, if anyone is wondering, this has not been released to the main branch. There are bugs in this thing, and a lot of them are already being identified, and we'll talk about a couple of those here in this video, as well as we've had a chance to go in and test some things out as well. Like I said, new feature, player dueling. One of the funniest things that happened while I was testing this is when the player gets out of range, it's 60 meters, which you might see some stuff showing up here of like distance and how far you really have. What is 60 meters in Pax Day? But you have 60 meters. If you exceed that, there is a local area message that pops up that says you ran away like a dog. It is the funniest thing that I have seen in a long time. We'll get into that with the dueling rules and how it ends. But when you start a duel, all you have to do is /duel, type the player name, or walk up to them and use your scroll wheel to select request a duel from the player in your interaction menu. The challenge player will then have 60 seconds to accept or reject. You, by the way, can also set auto reject in your settings. That is in settings in general when you get there. And it'll just automatically reject any duel requests that pop up. But let's say you accept the duel in the 60 seconds that you have, then the rules are pretty simple. You have 10 minutes. You can only go so far as 60 meters from each other. And then you obviously have to have duels declared in the same zone. And once it happens, you have a 3-second countdown. Big numbers pop up on the screen, 3, 2, 1, and then you're ready to go. When a player receives fatal damage, the losing player is restored to 10 HP, and the equipment will take normal combat durability damage, but the death durability penalties don't apply. One big thing, one big bug that was noticed just in this initial release patch as well is that healing staffs aren't healing, doing damage. They are healing, but they're not. The projectiles aren't projectiling. They don't do anything. You get hit, they register the hit, but no damage, and this applies across the board. So they're gonna have to fix that one pretty soon. Now, in terms of ending a duel, the duel ends when one of the players is defeated, if someone types /forfeit, or if the 10-minute timer expires. It can also be automatically canceled if people are running away, if an NPC attacks one of the duelists, or a third player attacks a duelist. This is only applicable if you're dueling your own party or clan members in Lioness, the PvP zone. But it'll also end if a player disconnects, changes zones, or an NPC attacks the duelist. So environmental hazards are still a thing. If you fall, burn, drown, or get poisoned and die, that still counts towards the duel ending. And that's that. So you can, again, like I mentioned, go into clan or party training for this. And then for player controls, when you go into the general tab of the settings, you'll be able to set auto decline, like I mentioned before. And there is some pretty funny outcome messages there. I'll let you all describe it. But I was not expecting that it would say Eltari ran like a dog. That made me laugh, and we were just testing it, and it was very funny. Rewards, I already know someone in the comment section is going to be like, well, Eltari, you always run like a dog in PvP. That is only sometimes true. Community feedback, in terms of this, they do have in Discord a feedback thread for the dueling system. They'd love to hear your feedback on that. Now, another big change, quality of life, is map improvements. So they added a new legend for the map, as well as you can toggle what is showing and what's not showing in the map. They also show you the description of the biomes as well. Now, what would be really cool is if you can click on these and then see the types of resources that you've already found in them. But for the time being, it's just, here's the classification of the biomes and a description of them as well. Market stalls also saw a markedly decent improvement with regards to how you're sorting and filtering and looking for various items. So now you can search for items by the name using the market search field, or sort listings by item name too. So that's actually a really, really nice quality improvement. Now, building system optimization. This is a big one. This is going to drastically improve people's performance in different areas. I know the Golden City in Rets on Sif is a very big city, and people can lag out on it. We haven't had that issue recently, but you do see some frame drops when you have that city on your screen. They are going through a physics streaming solution for these buildings to enable way better performance in densely built valleys. There is a bug that was identified just in the testing of this, where currently collisions aren't mapping out well. So if you experience that in the game, it's something that people are already reporting. Go ahead and hit that F9 key and make sure you report so that they can really track down the source of that bug. But the end point of this is you're going to have better performance for all the builds that everyone's doing, and that is going to only improve the experience for so many people who are building cities and building really complex structures. There's also going to be new graphics presets, but that's not coming in this current patch. So that's something to stay tuned for. And it's really what it's going to enable us to do here is they've expanded the graphics quality presets. So from low, medium to high to now low, medium, high, epic, and cinematic. Awesome. We love the cinematic. And effectively what is getting changed here is it was very CPU heavy, and now what they're trying to do is balance out the CPU and the GPU for different processes, and that should also stabilize and help the game perform better, especially on slower PCs. But as a result of that, it's going to give even more visual candy for people with the higher end. So everyone is getting improvements, and that's a good thing. They're also coming back with scalable UI. So small, medium, and large, you'll be able to change how big the UI is. The next best thing that we can do past this mainframe is just allow us to move the UI elements around the screen as we wish. I know that's actually really difficult, and there's probably some UI engineer that just said, Eltari, shut up. Don't say that. But it would be really cool if that feature came at some point in time. Now, improved material recovery on failed crafts. This is something that we've been talking about in the Discord already, but they are going to create a little bit more of a gracious system when it comes to when you fail, you get materials back. It's not random like it is currently. And they even scale it for things like when you're earlier on in your crafting journey, it's going to be less punishing. And then as you get further and further on, it gets more punishing, which means the things that cost more are going to cost even more because you're not getting those resources back. But the interesting part that got me excited, again, we're talking about the specializations and the other ways that you're going to be able to affect this. And they built this system with those things in mind. So in later updates, players will be able to increase the recovery ratio through gameplay systems, including things like advanced crafting facilities, new miracles, crafting specializations, or equipment. Let's bring back the blacksmithing apron. That's all we need to do is just bring back the blacksmithing apron. I wish I had a picture of our Golden Company, men of the Golden Company calendar, or people of the Golden Company calendar. You already know where I'm going with this. I'll let your minds carry you the rest of the way there. But those aprons were cool, and they at one point in time added to your blacksmithing skill. Those got disappeared for a long time. I'm glad to see that they're coming back. When it comes to crafting experience, failed crafting attempts still grant crafting experience. However, experience is only awarded based on the materials that were actually consumed during the attempt. So materials returned through the recovery system will not contribute to crafting XP. That's based on implementation and feedback that we, the players, gave them over the last couple of weeks. And then community feedback, they have a whole section for feedback on the failed crafting return system. If you're testing things out, go and give that feedback. And now we get to something that is the sleeper exciting thing that came in this update. And I don't know how to describe how cool our characters are going to look when this update comes out. There's just something about having your weapons be displayed on your character without having them have to be drawn out. Just walking around with an arming sword and a shield on your back is the coolest thing. It makes me want to pick up arming swords and shields a lot more just because of the coolness factor. Rule of cool always applies. But you can see a couple of examples here. I'm pretty sure it was on the thumbnail for this video too, but incredibly cool nonetheless. And on top of that, you have now the ability to hide your helmet. This is not going to apply when you're in Lioness. However, it does currently apply when you're dueling, not in Lioness. So you can still hide your helmet while you're dueling outside of Lioness, but once you go into the PvP zone, then you are always going to have your helmet showing regardless so that people can see what type of helmet you're wearing. Critically important if someone's wearing Chronoseer versus if someone's wearing a movable helm. Those are two very different spell types that player would have access to, and you want to know that information based on the silhouette instead of just completely having that obfuscated by a hide helmet feature, which everyone would use in PvP because of that advantage. One important thing to note, currently these always cover body, hide helmet, and hide sheathed weapon isn't visible on the test server. However, if you wanted to access the hide sheathed weapons and hide helmet, you would be able to do that by going into the settings general tab, and then you can check these boxes. It's just for some reason not available in the character UI right now. Either way, the bow has also gotten some improvements, some much needed love. And really, they still need a lot more love. This isn't like this is a Band-Aid, not a cure. But we have made several improvements and fixes to the baseline bow responsiveness and usability as part of ongoing work on ranged combat and in preparation for the upcoming fletching revamp. So they're already teasing the fletching revamp. I know many people are really interested in that, and that is a really cool thing to hear for, I'm sure, a lot of people in the community who want bows to be a thing. Then in terms of gameplay changes, ambush invisibility now ends when an arrow is fired, not when it's drawn back. Bow combat should now feel way more responsive. If you hold the left mouse button while drawing a new arrow after firing the previous one, your character will seamlessly transition into aiming and shooting once the draw is complete. You can still cancel before the aim circle appears. The bow skill XP is also now being awarded when the NPC is killed, as long as the player has hit the target with a bow at least once during the fight. So you no longer have to have the bow out, which I would like to remember everyone that the bow is the only weapon that you have access to that doesn't have a cooldown after you swap to and from it. Okay, so what that means is you can have your arming sword and shield out and then swap over to a bow, get your one shot, and swap back to the sword and shield, and that sword and shield is not going to have a cooldown timer for any of its abilities. So you'll get that credit just off of the rip. This is actually going to allow players a lot of opportunity to level up their bow while still continuing to level up everything else. So that's a huge improvement for bow users, even though, again, they still don't have abilities. The DPS is super low for everything related to bows right now, but still good to see that they're already planning for some improvements there. They also fixed a couple of bugs with relation to the bow. Crafting UI, if a recipe yields byproducts, they will now be indicated in the recipe. Making some meat chunks from a deer carcass also yields bone fragments and suet. So it's telling you what the residuals are. And then last, but certainly not least, color is coming back to Pax Dei. They added a art visual update. In a previous update, they definitely made things feel a little bit more drabber and like gray. Drab and gray. Is drab a word? They made it feel a little bit more depressing out in the game. Now, colors are coming back, not as much as they were previously. However, there still are going to be more colors coming back into especially the grassland biomes. And I can confirm that out in Tricasis and Arcadia that there is a lot more color than what we're used to in the last previous update. So that's everything in terms of the physical changes that have come to the game. I'm really excited for them. The patch notes you can actually access on the playpaxday.com if you want to get more in depth with a lot of the changes. But for the most part, everything that's been covered here is what has changed in the patch notes. So I'm not going to just repeat myself a second time, especially considering the last two PAX Friday reviews have been over 30 minutes. So with that being said, let me know down in the comments what you're most excited for in this upcoming patch that's going to go to live. And then also, what are you most excited for the next patch to come out? We have these specializations that they keep on teasing. I'm pretty excited about them and excited for what that means for the future of PAX Day. But I'd like to know your comments down below too. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, so you can get notified whenever we come out with new PAX Day related content, and share this video with any of your friends who are interested in learning more about PAX Day. I have a special video planned coming out sometime either this weekend or later next week. It's going to be about PvP. We're going to be breaking down some PvP videos that players have sent over to me on the channel. They've given me permission to analyze them and just share feedback. This is feedback. It's not fact, but I'm excited for that video as well. There's going to be some testing, and we might even break down some common misconceptions when it comes to PvP and PAX Day. If that's your forte, if that's the thing that gets you excited, then definitely hit that subscribe button and come check out the video when it comes out later this week. Anyways, I hope you have a great one. And until the next video, I'm Altari, the Professional Gamer.